So now that we have the fire started here right now, we're going to pack in our charcoal briquettes. I like to use charcoal briquettes today and Martin here because it allows me to keep the fire very consistent and control the temperature as I smoke, which is a really, really important thing to do depending on what you want to do. If you want to do a hot smoking, which is a cooking, or if you do want to do a cold smoking, which is a preserving technique. So we're going to take these. So now we have our charcoal pyramid here set up with the briquettes, and we can see the fire coming up and around it, which is really awesome. That means that the briquettes are caught and they're going to start burning. And we're going to wait for that until we have a nice even white ash coating on it. We don't want to see any black on it. So that way there we can keep that piece hot, and then from there I can start adding the chips of wood for the smoking process to that. And we can tell it's a really small batch of the stuff here. And that's because I'm doing that to regulate the temperature.
So you mentioned that we want to keep the fire at a particular temperature for the smoking. Now today we've got all sorts of tools we can use to see if we're in the right range: infrared thermometers, built-in temperature gauges to the equipment we're using. Historically, how could you tell you were in the right range of temperature for what you wanted to accomplish?
Excellent question. So there's 2 or 3 really big ways there, but I'm going to go over the 2 most important pathways that we can actually check and see about that temperature. The first way is visual. We're actually going to take a look at the fire and we're going to take a look at the coals. As I mentioned, I want to see a really even white coating of ash across these entire pieces. And we can actually see that beginning to form in here.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, and I want that all across the entire piece there so I can see that cherry red kind of glowing in it. That means that it's ready for me to start the next pieces. The second way of doing this entire piece there is sensation or tactile. And when we do this portion here, it's not I'm going to reach in here and grab the thing, but I'm actually going to put my hand in here above it. And it's how close can I have my hand to the flame and or to the coals, and how high it is there that I can really start feeling that heat. Like right here, if you go ahead and put your hand right up here with mine, can you feel that heat a lot?
That makes sense.
And then the third, so that leads into the third way of checking the temperature: volume. How much coals, how much wood, how much charcoal have we put in that spot?
How much fuel does the fire have to be working on?
So that we have that greater and greater temperature. And we still see that today in a gas stove, right? We have low, medium, high. It's how much fuel we're burning, and how large that is gives us more heat. Same thing right here.
Now sounds like some really good clues that we can use with pretty much no tech.
So hearing John talk about the methods he used to regulate the fire really brought home the idea that when we're learning a new skill, it's the repetition of that skill that helps us build up the ability to know what we're doing. So now that we had the coals burning, it was time to start adding the wood for the smoke for the fire.
Nice fine powder across it that we're looking for. It's time to add our wood. And now coming to the wood is actually kind of an important piece, depending on the taste and the flavor you want to work into it. So certain types of wood may actually leave you with a bad, bitter taste in your meat. So it all depends and varies on what you want using the type of wood and everything. A couple woods I have here is some oak, some walnut, and some cherry wood actually here. And so we're going to be using that today. And they just give a nice, delicious flavor on everything here. So depending on your heat, depending on the temperature you want to do, is depending on, or if you're using a smoker, how you're going to put the stuff in. Today what we're going to do is, because I have that nice controlled bed of coals here, I'm going to just simply take the tip of this, I'm going to lay it right on it, right there. And this is going to allow that heat, that fire there, to smolder right on that tip and slowly control that coming across.
Now, as you add wood to this,
Uh-huh.
is there any clues for how quickly you add wood? Because I assume if you dumped a whole bunch in, you'd just smother everything.
You'd smother everything, or what happens is even worse, you start a huge fire. Okay? When you're adding wood to the entire system to be able to see what's happening, you're actually watching for one thing that's just started right now, the
smoke.
level of smoke. If there's a very low amount of smoke, you need more wood. If there's a really high volume of smoke, you don't need it. So you're gauging by the watching.
Okay, so as you're adding woods, and I know you want to maintain a certain temperature range for what we're doing, is that going to be affected by the types of wood we use? Will different woods burn at different temperatures?
Awesome question. Yes, they would. I've seen softer woods a lot of the time are going to burn a little bit faster, so you're going to go through the stuff a little bit quicker, and you're going to get the ash down faster, so you're going to have maybe coals left behind. Well, hardwoods are going to depend on how long those portions are, because your fibers are tighter inside of that. But the biggest thing that's actually going to have effect on it, more than just the type of wood, is the seasoning of the wood.
So how long it's been left to dry.
Exactly.
And dry out and weather a bit.
Exactly there. If you have a green wood, it's going to burn a lot slower and produce a lot more smoke than if you have a dry wood, one that's been out there seasoning for a while, drying out, combining there, so there's very little moisture. The less moisture inside of it, the faster it's going to burn.
Now that we had added the wood for our fire, it was time to add the bacon.
To the fire there and get the smoking going here. Now, one thing that we've noticed here is when we look at what utensil we're using here to begin the smoking here, one of the things we want to look at is ventilation. Okay? And if you notice here right now, I only have one piece of the grill top in here, and it is very far away from the fire. But the reason I set it up this way here is because when I close this, my chimney is right near where I'm going to put that bacon. So that means I'm going to pull, almost all of that smoke is going to travel close to that, and we can see it here, the smoke leaving this. That means that all that smoke is going to travel to that bacon, come up and wrap around that as it's leaving your grill.
And
so let's go ahead and we're going to take this nice piece here, and we're going to lay it right on that spot there. Check that temperature one more time. That is nice and hot. We're getting that nice charcoalization coming into that. We're going to close this door. And now we're going to wait.
how long do we wait for this process?
So this process is actually one of the longest portions. This can be taking up to about 12 hours or however long you want.
During the process of smoking the bacon throughout the day, John decided to change from a cold smoke to a hot smoke.
Hot smoking there is pretty much just cook this thing entirely through, as opposed to just preserving it and everything. So, thinking right now, what we're going to do is we're just going to cut into this, try a little bit here, and cut in a little bit here, and some more of it, and fry some up in addition to that.
That sounds like an excellent plan.
So let's get cutting here. So, let's say we try a little bit.
Let's do it. That's good. You can really taste that sweet, salty curry that you put on it.
That gear really comes through in that flavor, right?
Yes, it does.
So the whole process of making the bacon, starting from curing the bacon all the way through smoking, took us several days. By this point in the process, we were ready to fry some up and taste the results of our hard work.
So we have this wonderful cast iron pan here right now, because now we're going to be working on those coals again. Cast iron is one of your best buds for that. I'm going to take these nice cuts here. One for me, one for you, and one for that awesome camera guy back there. I'm going to lay it right on top of those coals.
I can see some of the browning reaction going on there as you flip it over.
Right, that's kind of what we're looking for, to kind of crisp up.
Oh, that was delicious.
Oh. So, this has been our attempt here at making some bacon. I am really thrilled about how it came out here. It was tiring, it was long, but it is absolutely delicious and was worth every minute of putting this piece together here right now.
Oh, definitely. You know, and we encourage all of you to get out there, explore and learn, try new things. The process is so worth it.
Out and make, people. Have a great night.